Like I said, all big fires start from small fires, so hopefully we can get this started. So we'll let that go for a little bit. Again, little fires turn into big fires. So you're in your office building, you're at home, you see you have a little trash can, all of a sudden it's on fire. If it's any fire bigger than a waste paper basket, the recommendation is do not fight the fire yourself. Get out of the building. If you have a pull station like in an office building or a school, pull the fire alarm, get out and call 911. So no different than in your house. If this is bigger than this in your house, we want you to get out of your house, because the time you spend trying to play around with it and fight it, maybe you make it a little bit bigger, it's going to be worse and you might not get out. So if you decide that you're going to try to put this fire out in a waste paper basket, you grab your nearest fire extinguisher. You want to check the gauge if there's a gauge on it. Hopefully it says it's in working order. And very simple, P-I-S-S, pull the pin, or pass, sorry, P-A-S-S, sorry. Pull the pin, you aim the hose at the base of the fire, and squeeze, and then you sweep the fire extinguisher back and forth from one side of the fire to the other. And there you put the fire out. Now we didn't do it on this time, but anytime you use a fire extinguisher, you want to discharge the entire contents of the fire extinguisher. So make sure you put it out. So that's a rather big fire extinguisher, probably what you'd have in a building, in a school. Probably not what you have in your house. But the entire contents of the fire extinguisher, discharge it and put the fire out. And then you always want to make sure that you have an escape route. So make sure there is a door to your back so you can get out of the room that you're in if the fire gets too big and you can't put the fire out. You always have to have an escape route. But anytime you use a fire extinguisher in your house, in an office, or wherever, as soon as you use the fire extinguisher, either you call 911 or have somebody else call, because you want us to come check it out, make sure that it's just a little fire, not anything big. So okay, that's your waste paper basket fire. Our next fire, we're going to have an oven fire. Okay, we're going to wait.
Way to go, Brandon.
So our wonderful oven, unfortunately we don't have any power to it, so it's not producing any heat like an oven in your house. But we have a pizza box, and we can't tell you the number of people that when they reheat a pizza coming from one of the many pizza places in the area, they put the pizza box in the oven. And we all know that leads to bad things. So we have our pizza box in the oven. Add a little bit of oil because you want that pizza to be a little bit more tasty. So we're going to simulate putting a pizza box in the oven or any other kind of food. Thanksgiving's around the corner. Turkey gets burned, gets out of control, you start getting flames. The nice thing about an oven is, the simple way to stop a fire in an oven is you've got that big door. So you're in the kitchen, got got the oven door closed. All of a sudden, there's your smoke alarm. If your smoke alarm goes off in your house, we want you to get out of the house. Everybody should have a meeting point at your house. So, moms and dads, talk to your kids. Say if there's ever a fire or the fire alarms go off, just like in school, figure out where you're going to meet when you all get out of the house, whether it's the front of the driveway, the tree in the front yard, so you know that everybody got out of the house. And when the police and fire department and rescue squad show up, you can tell the fire chief and the police officer, we're all out of the house, this is what's going on. So we have our pizza box on fire. So you're in the kitchen, you see something, all of a sudden smoke starts coming out of the oven. Probably the best way to stop the fire is don't open the oven door, but just shut it. That's going to smother the flames. It's going to not allow any air or any more oxygen to get in there, and it's going to smother the flames. Then we suggest you call the fire department, because if you open that oven door, if it hasn't been put out, and and you want to shut your oven off because you're providing heat and a source to the thing that's burning inside, you want to shut the oven off and close the door, and then call 911. Let us come and then we can help you and take care of it. So if you shut the door, no air is going to, or very little air and oxygen can be allowed to get into the fire, and it's going to smother it and it'll go out. So very anticlimactic, not that exciting, but we'd rather it be that way. You put the fire out and then carry on with your dinner. So the next thing we're going to do is the stovetop fire. So you got a pan on the stove, you're cooking some kind of oil, and it gets away from you. Again, we can't have the stove on because it's not working. So we're cooking newspaper for dinner tonight. One thing you don't want to do, we're not going to show that, but if you have a lid and the pan catches on fire, put a lid over the top of the fire. That'll smother it. You don't want to pour water on it, because especially if it's cooking oil or something like that, that'll splatter and it'll push the flames away, and it'll catch other things on fire, like the backsplash, cabinets, window treatments if you have them close by. And then you have a small contained fire on a pan that turns into a bigger fire. Might need to help it out with a flare, I guess. Now, we don't recommend cooking with traffic flares. So if your cooking oil gets like this high, probably a good idea, don't try to put this fire out. We want you to get out of the house right away. So get out of the house, make sure everybody else is out of the house, and you want to call 911. Now I'm going to call 911, it's going to go through our dispatch center, and you're going to hear the actual 911 call to dispatch and how the fire department's called. Hi, Peapack Fire here. 6 Dewey Avenue, we have a kitchen fire, a stove on fire, and this is a drill. Okay. It's 6 Dewey Avenue in Gladstone.
Okay, what's on fire there?
cooking on the stove, and the pan caught on fire, and now the wall on the kitchen and the drapes are on fire. Yes, it's spreading up onto the wall.
Alright, I want you to get everybody out of the house, okay? I'm going to send the fire department to come and help you, okay? Make sure everybody's out of the house. Okay, is this a drill?
This is your drill. Yes, everybody's out of the house. We're waiting in the front of the yard.
Okay, wait in the front of the yard. We're sending help right now.
Okay, thank you. Hurry, come on. It's getting bigger.
Getting bigger? Alright, we're sending help out to you, okay?
Okay.
Alright, bye.
Okay, and you do not want to hang up on the 911 operator. You want to let them hang up on you because they might have more questions to ask you. So in Peapack Gladstone, we have a volunteer fire department and EMS. So when that call goes down to Somerville to the 911 center, they're typing all this information into the computer, and they're going to activate our pagers, which you'll hear in a minute, and the siren's going to go off. Should go off any minute now. And they're going to alert the firefighters and EMS people that we have to come down to our building, get on our rigs, and go to whatever the emergency is. One of the things we ask all is moms and dads that drive. In New Jersey, we have a move over law. If you're driving down a road and an emergency vehicle is coming behind you, get over. Here we go. Here's the pager.
Somerset County, 51 fire. This is a drill. 6 Dewey Ave for a fire. Repeating, Somerset County, this is a drill. 51 fire, 51 rescue response. 6 Dewey Ave for a fire. Repeat, Somerset County, this is a drill. 51 fire, this is a drill. 1451.
So when an emergency vehicle is coming behind you and your vehicle with its lights and sirens on, you're supposed to pull over immediately and stop. Don't drive along the shoulder, don't drive along the side of the road, because you never know where that vehicle has to go. So pull over and stop so we can get around you to get to the emergency. In this case, it's kitchen fire, and there goes my wonderful drapes. So probably the first person that's going to get to your house if you call the fire department is the police department, because we're on duty 24/7. We get there a little faster. The officer will get the information what's going on, relay it to the fire department. Then a fire chief will show up, and then a few minutes later, the fire truck. Now, we have many things to do when we pull up on a fire. The first crew is going to pull a hose line off the fire truck. That's the attack line. That's what we're going to go into the building with to put out the fire. We're not going to do it in this case, but another crew is going to pull the bigger hose off the truck and either hook it up to a fire hydrant or lay it in the street so another fire engine can come hook into that to our water source, because we have to supply water to put out the fire. Each of our fire engines carries a tank on board with 750 gallons. That'll last about 3 to 4 minutes with an 1 3/4 hose. After that time it goes dry, then we've got to pull the firefighters out or hopefully establish a water supply from the fire hydrant, pond, or river or whatever. So now the pump operator is putting the pump in gear. He's going to start water flowing from his tank into the hand line. You see the firefighters have air packs on the back. They're not oxygen, it's just room air, self-contained breathing apparatus, because we're going to go into the building, we can't breathe because of smoke and flame and heat. Turn on the hose and then they're going to come put the fire out. 2 firefighters are on the line, one with a nozzle, one backing them up. Another firefighter has tools if they have to break in the doors to get in or pull pieces of the wall out to see if the fire's gotten into the wall. And all of your firefighters in Peapack Gladstone are volunteer. We're carpenters, attorneys, police officers, college students, members of your Department of Public Works. You have to go through about 140 hours of training at one of the county fire academies before you can ride on the fire engine and put on the air pack. And then there's constant drills and training throughout the year. After they've extinguished the fire, they're going to check for extension in a house. They're going to pull parts of the wall down because the fire could have gotten between the wall and the outside of the wall, could have gotten into the ceiling, could have gotten into the attic. We want to make sure that we get all the fire out wherever it is. So that way we don't have to come back. One of the pieces of equipment that we use, we have thermal imaging cameras that can see hot spots in the wall, in the ceiling, to further aid us in determining and make sure we have the fire completely put out. So the captain in charge of the crew is checking everything out, checking for extension, doesn't see anything else. He'll tell the fire chief in charge that the fire's out, and then we'll pack up all of our gear. And the part they don't show you on the movies is putting all the stuff back, cleaning everything. So not a very spectacular fire, but a small one at best. But that's how we put out fires. That's how we respond to a call. So let's give it up to your fire department. So after the guys get the hose put back on the truck, we'll resume our fire truck ride. Thank you very much for watching.